There is an architecture older than atoms, and yet no one has ever drawn its blueprint. It is an architecture you inhabit without walking into it, a citadel you defend without ever knowing its gates. This structure does not stand in space, and yet it casts a shadow over every thought you have ever dared to think. It is the unbuilt cathedral of the impossible an edifice whose stones are omissions, whose spires are absences, whose foundation is the precise contour of what is forbidden to take form. We believe we live in the open, in the unbounded air of what may be thought and said. But this is an illusion born from the blindness that the structure demands of its tenants. We live instead in the cloisters of an invisible geometry, each step landing on a floor whose design we never notice because the tiles are made from refusal. This is no void. A void has openness, raw vacancy, the possibility of being filled. No, here the emptiness is shaped, cultivated, bred into form like a hound trained never to hunt. Every civilization produces its architecture of absence, the great unuttered, the synchrony of silences, the choir whose music is composed of measures no instrument can play. This is not censorship in the clumsy sense, not the loud negation of a tyrant's decree. This is something so subtle that negation itself is denied a foothold. Here, the unspeakable is not merely unsaid, it is unthought, surgically removed from the womb of possibility before it could ever breathe. The seed of the idea is burned, the soil and the earth rearranges itself so that the very thought of planting never occurs. These absences are not accidents. They are engineered with the precision of a clockmaker who knows the hours must tick without anyone suspecting the gears. Inside, they have no authors, for authorship would make them vulnerable. They exist as an anonymous equilibrium, the sum of countless acts of non-creation. You can no more attribute them to a single will than you can name the wind that carved the canyon, and yet you feel them. Oh, you feel them. The constriction of your throat when you reach for a word that collapses mid-breath, in the gentle yet unyielding pressure that tells you, without telling, that there is no place in the grammar of the world. For what you are about to say, it is not fear. It is recognition, not conscious, but cellular, molecular. The recognition that the thought does not belong to the realm of what is, and therefore does not belong to you. Consider how this structure holds its shape. It does not forbid speech. It forbids the shape of speech. It does not silence. It molds the air itself so that nothing forbidden can ever condense within it. The mind, obedient without knowing, charts every course around these absences as rivers chart themselves around mountains. And just as a river, in time, forgets the mountain that once blocked its way, the mind forgets that there was ever another path. This architecture of absence is the most perfect form of governance, a governance without rulers, without edicts, without even the concept of law. For a law can be broken, but how do you break what you cannot conceive? How do you rebel against a shape that does not appear in the spectrum of shapes available to you? Here lies the final refinement of control over action. Not over belief, but over the dimensions of possibility itself. The beauty of this construction is its invisibility. You could search every library, every archive, every oracle, and find nothing, not because the evidence has been destroyed, but because it was never permitted to be born. The absence is not an erasure, but a preclusion, as if history itself were a weaver who, at the moment the thread should have been drawn, simply left the loom empty. And yet, the tapestry hangs in the hall, admired for the way the pattern seems so seamless, never knowing that the most deliberate parts of its design are the holes. This edifice of absence is not static. It grows, it bends, it adjusts its architecture to the changing seasons of thought. Like the shadow of a building whose angle shifts with the sun, it alters the patterns of your movement without your awareness. It is flexible, not brittle. Its walls do not crumble when you press against them, for you will never press. You will turn before contact, convinced you are moving of your own accord. What astonishes me is the aesthetic of it. How elegant it is, how impossibly refined. It is the only art form that perfects itself by never being seen, that achieves its purity by evading all recognition. It is a sculpture carved from the very impossibility of sculpture, a spiral staircase that rises precisely because it never begins. And here is the true horror, if horror it can be called. Those who inhabit this architecture are not prisoners, they are curators. They maintain the very walls that hold them, not with intention, but with the effortless instinct of those who have never imagined otherwise. Every silence they keep, every thought they let dissipate without chasing, every question they never think to ask, these are the bricks and beams of the great invisible cathedral. To understand this structure fully is to see that it has no outside. Even your desire to dismantle it is already accounted for, already rerouted into the channels it has prepared. The architecture is not within the world is within the architecture. And yet, and this is the paradox that burns at its core, there is a faint hum, a resonant vibration that suggests the possibility of something beyond. Not a beyond in space, not a beyond in time, but a beyond in the topology of being itself. You cannot point to it, you cannot name it. But if you listen, if you grow unbearably still, you can almost sense the curvature of the thought that has been bent away from you. Perhaps there are others who feel this curve, strangers, who walk through the same empty corridors, whose fingertips brush the same unbuilt walls. And perhaps the only rebellion possible is the recognition itself. The knowledge, faint, formless, but unyielding, that the cathedral exists, even if no door can be found. For in the end, the most complete imprisonment is to deny that there was ever a prison. The most perfect absence is the one that convinces you nothing was missing. But if you can feel the shape of what is not there, if you can map the perimeter of the impossible, then you have already stepped into the one room the architecture did not design, the room where absence becomes presence simply by being known. And in that room, though its walls are bare, the air is different. It moves against your skin with the weight of something unpermitted, something impossibly alive. It does not speak, and yet it roars. It does not show itself, and yet it blinds you. And you realize terrifyingly, beautifully, that what you have found is not an escape, but the place where the escape could begin.
To read the raw excerpt discussed in this video, along with a more detailed analysis, please visit our Substack page at https://substack.com/@AETHYRICPHRONTISTERY. Link in bio.